Hey everyone, let's talk some hockey, because it's Stanley Cup final time. Again, game 2 this time. Edmonton at Florida on June 10th, 2024, for history's sake. Florida currently leads the series 1-0. And we'll get started here with the first period, which is actually, for once in a playoff game, one of the more exciting first periods I've seen in a while. So I'll give it credit for that. Because with 10:39 left in the clock, get a 5-minute major game misconduct match penalty on Fogle for Edmonton. It's kind of a knee on hit, maybe knee on thigh, hard to tell, even on the replay, on Lucian, Florida. But yeah, Fogle got thrown out for that one because it looked pretty bad. Lucian was down on the ice for quite a while and then left off not putting weight on that leg. And seeing the replay, it at least looked like maybe some hyperextension in the knee. But, spoilers, he would come back later in the game. So, not a serious injury that we know of yet. It's the final. We'll find out later how bad that really is. Anyway, because I'm thinking, the way I saw it, I'm like, man, if that's a tendon tear, like he's out for the rest of the series. He won't be good till, later in the next season. I don't think it's that bad. He came back in the game later, so wasn't that bad, thankfully. But Edmonton loses Fogle, which is, I think they don't have depth. They'd be all right. But anyway, normally don't make note of penalties. This one I did. Just that weird, hockey sense in me feeling of, this seems important. I should probably make note of it and write it down. And, how often do we see 5-minute power plays in a Stanley Cup final? Especially with two teams. Like I said in my game 1 video, I think this series is going to come down largely to goaltending, but also special teams. Both teams have got good power plays, and they've also got both teams also have really good penalty kills. Really good penalty kills. Saw that in game 1. We saw a lot more in game 2. I'm getting to that. But yes, that's this power play which came out for Florida. Made the third and whatnot. I think before this or after. So my notes are a bit off this. 30th straight power play or penalty kill for Edmonton. Because they had a bunch. Both teams have had a bunch in a row consecutive penalty kills. I think they were saying this would be, if Edmonton kills it, their 30th straight would be is already a franchise record anyway. I think so. And yeah, it was at 94.1%. Spoilers: that number will change by the end of the game. I'm just not going to reveal if it goes up or down yet. You'll see. Anyway. With 3 minutes and 23 seconds left on that 5-minute power play, Edmonton takes penalty, or Ekman Larson for Edmonton takes tripping penalty. So, we go to 4-on-4 for a full 2 minutes of play. And, of course, as you would suspect, 4-on-4 is going to favor Edmonton Oilers big time. And it does. So we get an Edmonton goal with 8 minutes and 43 seconds remaining in the first. Ekholm gets the goal for Edmonton. Edmonton's first shot on goal, mind you, and it's almost over half of the period. Not quite 12 minutes, just under. But anyway. First shot on goal is a 3-on-1 situation with Bobrovsky. Because, Florida kind of got caught 3-man deep in their zone, and McDavid just made a nice outlet pass. So led to a 3-on-1. Ekholm just didn't pass it. He just shot 5-hole. Which was interesting, because on broadcast, they talked about how either in the the pre-show, I was watching a little, I was still doing other stuff, I was kind of listening to it. And something they brought up was that Bobrovsky either hasn't been scored on 5-hole all playoffs, or where he's been scored on the least. One of the two, because they brought up a chart with numbers and showing the numbers that literally everyone knows, including the Edmonton Oilers. So you want to score on Bobrovsky, you got to shoot high, typically high glove. because the chart brought up like, here's where all the goals have been scored on Bobrovsky at the playoffs kind of thing. And yeah, down low, he's probably one of easily top 5 or top 3, I would say, currently playing. All time, I don't know. There was discussion after game 1 about I just Conn Smythe stuff. People were like, he's a Hall of Famer. I'm like, yeah, probably. But we'll see how it pans out. Not just this series. Still got some more in his career to go. We'll see. I mean, he's not necessarily a fresh spring chicken, but he ain't that old either. Anyway, back to the game. So, like I said, the 4-on-4 favored Edmonton. It did. Mostly because Florida kind of got caught in a bad spot. McDavid took advantage of it, makes the great outlet pass to Ekholm up the ice, and, because it was 3-on-1. He just didn't pass it, didn't need to. Just took a shot, saw an opening, took a shot, and bam. And that one kind of trickled through. Bobrovsky got a good piece of it with like the end of his pads as he closed his legs, but not quick enough, and it got in. So 1-0 Edmonton is we then go back to the 4-on-4 actually. Yep. So 1-0 is still 4-on-4. It's 6:50 remaining in the period-ish. I didn't have an exact time on this. Florida power play resumes with a little over a minute left on it, but that never goes anywhere. It's killed off. So, second period. With 10:26 remaining in the second period, so right around the halfway mark, Florida will tie it up with a goal from Mikkola. Yep, defenseman. Yeah. It was just a nice little drop pass off the rush that he one-timed. Yeah. The pass was probably better. I should have looked up and noted who made that drop pass, but yeah. The pass was the play. It's just that Mikkola finished it up nicely with a very nice shot on a very nice pass. So yeah, that evens the game up 1-1. And that's the way it will stay heading into the third period here. And early in the third period, with 16:49 remaining, Florida gets a goal from Rodriguez. So he's got goals in back-to-back games now. That makes it 2-1 Florida. That goal was off like a bit of a small cycle, not really a cycle, but longer possession in the zone, pressing. And they just Florida set up a screen, and Rodriguez just got a nice pass and wristed it past Skinner. Had no chance, he never saw it. So just wrists it in, nice little snipe. 2-1 Florida game off of that. And then, with 7 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the third period, Florida's on the power play. Edmonton's on penalty kill. This is not the first time tonight. I think this is actually Edmonton's third PK of the night. There were honestly a lot of penalties called on both sides this game. A shocking amount for a Stanley Cup final. A couple of them I have thoughts with. I'm not going to get into it. Not even my notes, because why bother? If I thought a call was, or a thing, not necessarily there were missed calls or things like that. I think everything was fine. It's surprising to see so many penalties called in a finals, because the way that I don't have to explain how NHL refereeing works. Go watch. There's a video or two the hockey guy's done on that subject. You should go watch them. And I've talked about it in previous videos too. But either way, it was surprising. Except the number of penalties. I mentioned that because, like I said, 7:34 remaining in the third period. Florida finally breaks through Edmonton's penalty kill, which I think at that point, that 94% was like a 94.9% or something going into that kill, like the 32nd one in a row for Edmonton. But, yep, power play goal for Florida. Again from Rodriguez, his second goal of the game. That was a nice deflection / like tip in off a rush play. Again, nice pass to him. He was just in the right spot and the low slot actually. Again, just not in air deflection on the ice stick redirect, that kind of deflection / tip in. So yeah, Skinner had no chance on it. Great little hard pass and great positioning by Rodriguez, and 2-1 Florida, or no, sorry, 3-1 Florida at that point. Rodriguez scored twice. back-to-back, about 10 minutes apart. So, yeah, power play goal, though. First power play goal of the series, and I think those are going to be important. So, there you go. And yeah, once it's 3-1, I'm like, well, this game is pretty much done. Because much like the first game in the series, there was a large discrepancy in the number of shots. The difference is in game 1, Edmonton had the majority of the shots and lost in a shutout of 2-0 to Florida. In this game, Florida had the majority of the shots, and it showed on the scoreboard. So, anyway, with 5:53 left in the third period, Edmonton pulls Skinner. It's an early pull, but you're down 2 goals. Realistically, yeah, you kind of have to, somewhat, at that point. And just have faith your team can kind of pull it off. And Edmonton gets a little help from the hockey gods, because with 8 seconds left, or wait, yeah. Oh, yes, because 5:53, Edmonton pulls Skinner, and then there at some point during that pull, still 5-on-5, there ends up being offsetting minors calls. So we go to 4-on-4, which Paul Maurice was not happy about, which is kind of funny because he already got scored on once 4-on-4 earlier in the game. He knows you don't want to give McDavid and Draisaitl any more space on the ice to do what they do, McDavid especially. He wasn't happy about that call, and that's understandable why, because again, 4-on-4 definitely favors Edmonton, big time. So, but that's what ends up happening. And then during that 4-on-4, with 8 seconds left actually in the 4-on-4, Florida takes a 2-minute delay of game, trying to clear the puck, went over the glass. So, sorry, wrong page. Flip over this way. Then we have, 8 seconds of a 5-on-3 because of the goalie pull and the penalty. Then it goes to a 6-on-4 power play for Edmonton. After that, because the Skinner is still pulled. And then with 2:28 left in the clock in the third period, Florida gets the empty net goal from Ekblad, just whipping it down from about center ice. So that, if there wasn't any doubt, I felt after that power play goal that it was done. I didn't see Edmonton coming back in that game personally. So, yeah, the empty net goal was just the extra icing, I guess, for Ekblad. 4-1 Florida lead. They put Skinner back in net because at this point, I think Edmonton was like, okay, we know we lost the game, let's move on. So that's a long 2 minutes to play out or the rest of the game. But yeah, 4-1 final to Florida. And Florida takes a 2-0 series lead. And yeah, they showed the stats on that. I almost wrote them down, but not going to bother. We know kind of roughly what the stats are and the odds, but yeah, it's the playoffs. It's Stanley Cup final. I don't care about what those numbers say. I want to see what happens. I think this Edmonton team, both teams are playing incredibly good and tight defense. They're both good offensive teams, but hey, guess what? They both can play D when needed. And we've seen it a lot this series so far in the 2 games thus far. But anyway, I always like to name my personal, I'm doing this just for the Stanley Cup Finals. I'll name my personal MVP for the game. I try and do it before they announce the 3 stars. I'm just like, okay, to me, who was the most valuable player in that game? And I'm like, I want to give it to Bobrovsky again. And he wasn't nearly as busy of a night, wasn't as critical to the Florida win. I was like, they brought up a stat line that Evan Rodriguez, with his 2 goals, is the first player in Florida Panthers franchise history to have a multi-goal game in the Stanley Cup final. Granted, I think this is only their 3rd appearance in the Stanley Cup final, only 2 games in the series, but it's still something. It's still a franchise record. So once I heard that, I'm like, and thinking back on it, I'm like, yeah, and it wasn't even his game win, or it wasn't, actually it might have been the game-winning goal, wasn't it? Let's see here, my notes. No, Mikkola technically had the game-winning goal, but But anyway, yeah, I brought with the 2-goal Rodriguez. I think played great. He had a good game before that, and again, this guy's kind of come out of nowhere. And they mentioned it on the broadcast. Florida grabbed him as a free agent in the offseason, and he was pretty quiet during the season and even during the playoffs up until this series, and he's been doing stuff. So yeah, yeah, I did before they announced the 3 stars. I'm like, yeah, he got 2 goals and that gets that franchise record for Florida. I'm like, yeah, I'll give him the MVP vote. And a good play off the puck too at times. So yeah. Ironically, much like the first game, I named that in my notes and put it in there before they announced the 3 stars. And game 1, it was obviously Bobrovsky with the shutout. That one was kind of common sense. This one I get a harder time picking. Because before Rodriguez, I'm like, well, I don't want to give it to Bobrovsky again. He wasn't as busy. Like, can I give it to just Florida's entire, like, just team defense? Because that kind of won in the game more than likely. And I was like, the 2, I'll just go to Rodriguez. And he ended up being named first star of the game. So I'm getting pretty good at predicting that now. Although I probably wouldn't have done that if I hadn't seen that stat line about the multi-goal franchise record. I would have just probably said Florida's defense as a whole, like team defense, deserves the MVP for the game. Yeah, both teams are playing really solid defensive hockey, which is interesting because they're both teams that are capable of very high-scoring offense, especially Edmonton. So again, it will continue to be an interesting series to watch. And again, I know what the stats are about teams that win the first 2 games in a Stanley Cup final. I know what they are. I didn't write them down. They're ridiculous. I don't care. I'm still kind of rooting for Edmonton. When they scored that 1 goal this game on their first shot, I did go, yeah, I cheered a little bit. So, but I'm not bummed they lost the game. It's whatever. It's a series for a reason. And I'm looking forward to watching Game 3. I don't even have written down the date of because we kind of know the schedule. It's every other day at this point until the Stanley Cup gets awarded to someone. So that is the schedule. I believe. If I'm wrong on that, then I apologize. You should know your own hockey schedule, I guess. There's only 1 series left and it's the final. I mean, if you're following hockey, I'm assuming you know the thing. Even though I present these videos in a as spoiler-free as I can. Although I guarantee you the thumbnail for whatever game ends up being the cup clinching game will be a thumbnail of the captain of the winning team raising the cup. So I will spoil that in the thumbnail, but hey, whatever. It's too good of an image not to use, even though it hasn't happened yet. Sorry. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll be back. We'll talk about Game 3 in a couple days' time. So, looking forward to that. We'll be in Edmonton. Crowd will be fun, interesting. And Edmonton's definitely in a must-win situation where they really need to win both those home games to not be in bad shape. So, we'll see. They're up against it now. So that's, I think, when they're really going to respond. We'll find out. That's what's fun about watching the sports. Don't know what's going to happen. Crazy things happen all the time. But yeah, once Edmonton went down 3-1 in this game, I'm like, yeah, it's over. They're not coming back. Florida was kind of again, both teams on point with the defense. I've said it multiple times, so probably be saying it in Game 3. But hey, we'll find out. So until next time, peace.